So on my Twitter feed, I follow a lot of those national political blogs and pundits and websites. It's always interesting to get their perspective on where things are trending in the Iowa caucuses, even though sometimes we here in Iowa, in the First in the Nation caucus state, sometimes we've got a little bit of a different perspective than they do. But one thing that Twitter is burning up with is speculation that former Alaska governor, former Republican vice presidential candidate Sarah Palin is indeed gearing up for a presidential run. And a lot of the national pundits are looking at this One Nation bus tour she's on, the fact that coming up later in June there's a movie about Sarah Palin that's going to actually debut right here in Iowa. And one of the side plots to all of this speculation involves Minnesota Congresswoman and likely Republican presidential candidate herself, Michelle Bachmann. As a lot of these pundits are wondering, is there room for both Sarah Palin and Michelle Bachmann? In other words, is there room for, two guns and gods chicks in the Republican presidential field? Now, you know me. I've always been a bit of a contrarian. Sometimes it helps me to stumble upon things that no one else notices. On the other hand, sometimes it has me stub my toe, as maybe I think a little too far outside the mainstream. But I'm going to reiterate something about this question that I have been saying for months now. And that is, if I am Michelle Bachmann, I'm not only not deterred by the prospect of Sarah Palin running for president, I'm encouraged if she does. Because the knock on Michelle Bachmann is that she's not ready for prime time. There isn't anybody in this field, save for maybe former Alabama Chief Justice Roy Moore, who's going to have more solid conservative credentials than Michelle Bachmann. And certainly none amongst those who are able to raise any money. So it's not an issue threshold that Michelle Bachmann has to reach. The threshold that she has to reach is that we don't typically elect legislators president. In fact, I don't think we've elected somebody from Congress since the mid-19th century. And we also don't typically elect women. In fact, this country never has. So she's got to prove that she is functionally capable to do the job. If I'm Michelle Bachmann, I am better off, in my view, being compared to Sarah Palin than the other men on the stage who have a lot more executive experience, like, say, a Tim Pawlenty, than I do. In fact, noticing the media keeps comparing Michelle Bachmann to Sarah Palin only reinforces what I am saying, because that's what they will continue to do if Sarah Palin runs for president. And one thing I think we can say about Michelle Bachmann, at least in her personal life, she's a much more stable individual than is Sarah Palin. If I was Michelle Bachmann, if I had to prove that I could run a country, I could run a department of 29,000 employees and appointments, I could be commander-in-chief, I could deliver a kill shot, that I could in fact be America's Margaret Thatcher, I'd much rather try to make that point, proving myself up against the highly unstable Sarah Palin, than the other men in the room. Thanks for joining us here on SteveDeace.com. Don't forget you can email me, Steve@SteveDeace.com. You can also find me on Twitter at Steve_Deace, and look us up at Stephen Deace on Facebook. God bless.